The storyline is as weak as Gladys's edges. What's tea, bestie? How you doing? How your edges? How your kids? How that man? Girl, you know we don't give a damn how that man doing, bestie. I have a bone to pick with you because I went and saw Weapons this weekend. I'm finding it. Because the way that y'all gassed this movie up and it was mid at best. So, you know, we're going to talk about it. And before we even get into it, I'm just going to say this. If you enjoyed the movie, if the movie really did it for you and it really frizzled your edges, that's good. I'm not here to debate about your viewer experience. I'm here to share mine, and I will not go back and forth about it. Moving on. So the premise of this movie is at 2:17 a.m., 17 children go Naruto running out of their house and they just vanish. Now, if the fact that these kids went running out of their house at 2:17 a.m. and not one of their parents heard them wasn't wacky enough for you to add a little bit more dip on that chip, all of these children are students in this one lady's class. Her name is Justine Gandy. Now, when Sister Gandy go to work, all of her kids are missing except for this one little boy. And if you have any ounce of common sense, then your brain is already saying he got something to do with it. Because how is everybody missing but you? You the only one that's still in the class. Now, one of the things that I really enjoyed about this movie, but as I got deeper into the movie, I realized this was really the only way that you can tell the story because it was so weak, is this is like a non-linear ensemble type of movie. So it is broken down into chapters and you follow these community members post disappearance. So we get to see Justine's POV. We get to see the little boy's POV. His name is Alex. The only parent who was really looking for their child, Archer, we get to see his POV, a police officer whose name is Paul, and a drug addict whose name is James. Because it's told in this fashion, once we get to a certain point of the movie, we're automatically kind of set back to the next member and so on and so forth. And while that was really interesting when it came to Justine, Archer, and Alex, for Paul and James, it really felt pointless. And by that point, I really started looking at my phone to see how long I had been in the movies because it felt like it was dragging. As everybody with common sense suspected, Alex has this aunt. Her name is Gladys. When she comes to their doorstep, she's very sick. She's almost dying. This is his mother's aunt. So his great aunt, I guess. Then one day, Alex comes down for school and his parents are sitting in this catatonic state at the dining room table, and Gladys seems to be getting better. So this is when we learn that Gladys is, I wouldn't really call her a witch because the movie kind of implies that she's more of a parasite like Pennywise. And you see it through these little Easter eggs that are left in the movie. Like when Justine is in the nightmare and she walks into her classroom, if you look on the whiteboard behind her, the word parasite is written on the whiteboard with different types of parasites. And that's the scene when Alex puts his head up and he has the same makeup on his face as Gladys. Also, when Gladys goes to see the principal, him and his partner are watching a program on the Discovery Channel that is talking about the way that this one particular parasite impacts ants. And you only see these themes pop up when Gladys is somewhere around. So she may be a little bit of a witch, but a parasitic witch, if that's a real thing, I don't know. I could be making that up in real time, but that's essentially what she is, and she uses blood magic. So Gladys explains to Alex, you know, I was sick. I thought your parents were going to help me get better, but they're not helping me get all the way better. And clearly that's because they're older. A lot of their life force has already been lived, so they don't have enough energy to get her back to 100%. She tells Alex, I can make your parents do whatever I want them to do. They can eat you, they'll eat each other, whatever. So what you gonna do is you're gonna take personal items from all of your classmates and you're gonna bring them to me, and that way your parents will be able to live. And then she also tells Alex that that'll make her leave, which we all know it's a lie, but he's a child, so he doesn't know that. Alex, who is now desperate to get his parents back and have his life back, does what she asked him to do. So that is how these little kids go running out of this house, and now they're just all in the basement being fed soup along with Alex's parents. And Gladys is back being the baddest version of herself, but still wreaking havoc on this community. When we get to the final confrontation of the movie, Alex hits Gladys with an Uno reverse, and he mimics the same ritual that he saw her do and turns the children against Gladys. So they go running after her and they rip her to shreds in the front yard. But once Gladys is defeated, they don't just automatically go back to normal. They really kind of stay in this catatonic state. And you see Archer go pick up his son and just walk off, and that is how the movie ends. It's very obvious that with the movie just kind of abruptly ending like that, the point is they wanted you to sit in the same trauma and unease as the people it impacted. It also was implied in the opening and ending narration, because the little girl starts off telling you that this is an unsolved mystery. We don't know how it happened. Which, side note, I think that little girl was one of the 17 kids that went missing, not just by the way her voice sounded, but in the ending commentary, she says some of the kids are slowly finding their way back to normal, and some of them have even started talking again. The other thing about that was when Alex did the ritual, just like Gladys would snap the twig to make the person who was under her spell stop doing whatever it was she had them doing, she would then put the twig in water as kind of like this baptismal thing to wash them clean. Now, when Alex breaks the twig, you never see him dip it in any water, and that was clearly intentional. It really makes you feel how a traumatic situation will forever alter a person's life. Because even though the traumatic event had taken place and was over, in real life, after something traumatic happens, you don't just go back to normal. Your life is forever changed, and some people never recover, like Alex's parents. In the little girl's narration, she implies that they're clearly at some kind of hospital or psych ward still being fed soup. But the kids who are younger, so they're a little bit more resilient, they're slowly finding their way back to themselves. And that worked really well. My other gripe with this movie is that it's being promoted as a horror movie, and it's not really a horror movie. There are elements of horror. It's really like a horror salad, because you have a little psychological horror, you have a little gore, you have a little supernatural thing, there's a little bit of jump scare going on. But at its core, it's really a psychological thriller, because it's leaning into the mystery of this event and trying to figure out what's going on. I even enjoyed the use of practical effects over CGI, and I love that we're getting to a space in film where they're kind of reverting back to practical effects and understanding that they are necessary, because they just hit different when executed correctly. I'm not gonna act like the movie didn't have moments that were interesting, and I'm never gonna tell you not to watch the movie. I'm just telling you my experience. But if I'm being honest, the storyline was weak. It was weak, and it really felt pointless. It felt like we were at this movie just for the sake of being at the movie, and we really didn't go anywhere. And that really falls on the writing. Like, we wasted, an hour following the POVs of James and Paul when we really should have been focusing on Gladys. How do you have Gladys be the focal point of the story and your main antagonist, but we know nothing about her? We don't know where she came from. We don't know why soup is what she had to feed these people. We don't know how she siphons the life source. You give us no information about her whatsoever. And I think that if they would have just leaned into giving us a little bit more about her, because of the fact that, yes, you want us to sit with the same grief and heaviness as anybody who is impacted by an extremely traumatic situation, but you're also giving us a fly on the wall POV, because we're seeing things that the community is not seeing. So you're kind of straddling a fence that makes no sense. It should have been one or the other. And trust me, it is not lost on me that James and Paul were both weapons. And that's why the movie has the name Weapons, because the little kids, Alex's parents, anybody that Gladys was able to put under her spell and utilize them, she weaponized all of them for her cause. I understand that. I also understand that you showed us Paul and James's vices and the things that led them to being weaponized. I just don't think that they were important enough characters that we needed to see so much of their story. So to have a 2-hour and 9-minute runtime with a storyline that was that weak and unfulfilling, there's no way that y'all are saying that this is the best movie or scariest movie of the year. And it wasn't even able to successfully complete a world that felt lived in or like you were a part of. And you have Sinners that also came out this year that was also able to materialize a whole world, but it gave us so many layers premieres that you can watch it time and time and time and time again and still learn something and take something new from it. It has a fresh perspective. Mind you, this is before The Conjuring even premieres, because we still have to get to September for that movie. So no, I'm just not sold on this movie being just this great, amazing body of work. Do I think the movie is interesting? 100%. Would I tell you to go to the movies and formulate your own opinion? Always. And with that, we're going to get to the Diamond Cut review. And for me, I'm giving this movie a VS quality because it is interesting. I do think that there are some artistic liberties that they took that worked really well for the movie, but the storyline is as weak as Gladys's edges. I'm sorry. The storyline was just paper thin in the wind, and it just really didn't stick, especially with a runtime as long as it was. Obviously, I want to know your thoughts in the comments, besties. Did you like it? Did you love it? Are you not really a horror girly? Tell me all the things. And until next time, love you. Bye.